Did you think learning piano was going to be easy? I did. Well, it was at first when I was a little girl. I practiced diligently for a long, long time, and eventually I won a contest and got to perform in Carnegie Hall. But all of that practicing was a life-consuming grind, and I really wish that I'd known a smarter way to do it. So to make improving your playing 10 times easier for you, here are 6 things I wish I'd known about how to practice that would have saved me a ton of time and heartache. Number 1, stop wasting practice time. For years, I felt like I never had enough time to practice. I was putting in the work, but progress was much slower than I wanted to be, and I couldn't figure out what to do about it. Then I found out that it wasn't about the time I was putting in at all. The problem was how I was practicing. And the biggest thing that I was getting wrong, that most pianists get wrong, is I was practicing sections that are way too long. Here's what I mean. Imagine that my hand is your brain, and each of these balls is one thing that your brain is trying to hold on to. A note, a chord, a leap. So 1 ball, your brain is fine. 2 balls, that's fine. 3 balls, it's working hard, but it's managing. And then the 4th ball comes in, and that's where things fall apart. Because science has shown us that your working memory can only hold 3 things at once. So the moment that 4th thing appears, your brain has to drop something. Now, most pianists aren't practicing 4 things at once. They're practicing 8, 10, 20 things at once, a whole page at once, which means most of what you're trying to put into your brain isn't sticking. And you keep going over the same 20 things over and over, wondering why they never seem to land. The fix is a lot simpler than you would think. It is to practice in much smaller sections than you think you need to. Don't start from the beginning and play until you make a mistake. Find the small moment that isn't working, zoom in on just that, and once that starts to feel better, go on to the next thing. You always want to be working on something that feels challenging but doable, not overwhelming. If you want the full breakdown of everything I learned about how to practice smarter, I made a whole video about it, and I'll link it on screen. Practicing in sections that are too long wasn't the only thing slowing down my progress. Point 2, plan. So here's another thing that was killing my progress. Looking back at it, I think I was just sitting down at the piano and kind of guessing. I'd look at the list of pieces or things I needed to learn, and I'd pick somewhere to start based on a hunch and hope for the best. No real plan, no teacher telling me how to practice, and honestly, no idea how to make a plan. Think about it this way. If you were driving across the country to visit your great Aunt Martha, you wouldn't just get in the car and hope that you end up in the right spot. You would plan your route, figure out where you're going to stay, work out how long it's going to take. But that's exactly what most of us do when we sit down at the piano. We just start driving and hope we end up somewhere useful. Once I started planning my practice, things changed very much for the better. Before I even sit down, I already know exactly what I'm going to be working on because I keep notes from the session before. So I'm not wasting time playing through things, trying to figure out where the problems are. I already know. I pick one spot, and then I set a goal for it. Am I learning the notes, the fingering, the rhythm? Am I changing the musicality of a phrase? I do a couple of repetitions, and then I ask myself, did it get better? If yes, well, I keep doing what I was doing. If not, I'll try something different until something works. I also record myself, usually on my phone, regularly, and listen back. And while I'm listening, I write specific reminders in my score about what I want to change. If I have a performance coming up, I work backwards from the date so I know exactly what needs to be learned by when. What this means is that even if I have only a few minutes, I know exactly where to invest them. Every time I sit down, I'm working on the right thing in the right way, and that's what actually moves the needle. You can be doing all the right learning methods, but if you don't learn new ways of seeing the music, you can be setting yourself up for a world of hurt. Point 3, look for patterns. So here's something that took me way too long to figure out, and it cost me in the most embarrassing way possible. I was in my senior year of high school, and my teacher told me I had to play a recital from memory. I asked her, well, how am I supposed to memorize? And she said, well, just play it a lot. I did the best I could, and I still froze on stage. The absolute worst moment of many unpleasant moments was at the end of the Chopin Ballade. I blanked completely. and I had no idea even how to play a convincing final chord so I could get up off the bench and run off the stage. I knew what key I was in, but I didn't understand the harmony well enough to actually find my way out by playing that chord. And the problem wasn't that I hadn't practiced enough. The problem was that I had no idea how the piece was actually put together. Here's the thing about music. It's made of patterns, phrases that repeat, harmonies, chords that follow a logic, structures that the composer designed on purpose. But if you can't see them, a piece will just feel like a tidal wave of random notes. And when that happens, the only thing holding it together in your memory is muscle memory, which, as I found out on stage, is not something you want to be relying on. Once I started learning more theory, actually understanding how pieces were constructed, everything got much easier. Learning was faster, I was memorizing more securely, and honestly, the music got more beautiful too, because I was constantly finding these wonderful little structures hidden inside it. Ask yourself these questions every time you sit down to practice. What's the same and what changes? What's the pattern to how these notes are moving? Why are those sharps and flats appearing where they are? Hunt for the patterns, whatever you can find, and you will learn faster, you will remember more, and you're going to enjoy the whole process a ton more. If you want to really accelerate your growth, you need to increase the speed with which you can actually see those patterns, which brings me to point 4, work on sight reading. So something I noticed after years of teaching, some students could pick up a new piece and be playing it within a week or two, and others would be stuck on the same notes for months. Same amount of effort, really different results. For a long while, I couldn't figure out what separated them. And then it clicked. The faster learners were stronger readers. The slow ones were decoding every note from scratch every time they sat down. Reading was the bottleneck, and it was slowing everything else down. About 5 years ago, I started pushing my slower note learners to do something they didn't love, which is practice sight reading regularly, using a couple of apps and certain books that I like. And honestly, I was surprised at what happened. Students that used to take forever to learn a piece suddenly started moving through new music much faster. The bottleneck was gone. And here's why it matters. The faster you can get the notes under your fingers, the more pieces you can learn. And the more pieces you learn, the faster you will improve, because every piece is teaching you something new. Sight reading isn't just a skill on its own. It's the thing that makes everything else go faster. So invest a little time in it every day. Even if you don't love doing it, it is absolutely worth it. And if you want a step-by-step plan, what to practice, how long, which tools, I made a full video on sight reading, and I'll link that on the screen. Amazingly, though, there are things you can do away from the piano that can help you even more than becoming a better sight reader. Point 5, let's get mental. So here's something I only started doing deliberately a few years ago. Mental practice. Playing through music entirely in your head away from the piano. I'd done it before, but only when I had no choice, when I was injured, traveling, or otherwise away from the instrument. And even then, I was thinking of it as a poor substitute for the real thing. What I didn't realize was that when I started building it into my regular practicing on purpose, I felt more solid in the music, faster, more secure, like I really, really knew it inside out, rather than kind of hoping my fingers wouldn't trip up. Here's how I use it now. I take a tiny chunk, a few notes, maybe a measure. I'll play it once physically, and then once mentally, and then physically again. I'll go back and forth like that 4 or 5 times before moving on to the next bit. And what that mental repetition is doing is forcing your brain to build a very accurate internal picture of the music, hearing it, seeing it, feeling the movements. The more complete and detailed that picture is, the faster you master it. Your fingers aren't just following a habit. They're guided by your brain that knows where you're going. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can hear the passage in your head. You can play it on the table. You can even just imagine yourself playing it with ease and comfort. All of that counts, and all of it builds that internal picture faster than physical practice alone. One of my students tried it and said she was surprised at how fast she got results, and I think you will be too. You might think you've got everything nailed down when you're learning more quickly, but there's something equally important to learn if you ever want to be comfortable playing your music for other people. And that takes me to point 6. So here's something nobody told me for most of my performing career, and it cost me a lot of unnecessary stress on stage. There are 3 completely different modes of playing piano. There's learning practice, where you're figuring out the notes, fingering coordination. There's playing for fun, just enjoying the music. And then there's performance practice, training your piece that you already know to hold up under pressure. These are not the same thing. And mixing them up is one of the main reasons people find themselves making random mistakes on stage, even when they know the piece cold. For most of my career, I'd learn the program, maybe I'd do a couple of run-throughs, and then boom, launch time. I had no idea that performance practice was even a thing. Once I learned what was actually involved, things changed a lot. Before my last concert, I spent a full month doing that specific kind of work, training reliability, building in safety nets, preparing for what to do if something went wrong under pressure. And the difference was massive. I felt nervous on the night of, but I also felt completely confident that I could play the program, that the hard parts would go fine, and that if anything did go wrong, I would recover gracefully. And I actually have a recording of that concert on YouTube if you want to check it out. I'll link it in the description. So keep those things completely separate in your head. Learning practice is for learning the music, figuring things out. Performance practice is for making it bulletproof. And whatever you do, don't skip the second one. Everything I've talked about in this video, practicing in smaller sections, planning your sessions, finding patterns, sight reading, mental practice, performance preparation, all of that is stuff that I teach inside my school community. If you want to actually put this into practice with proper guidance and a group of people doing it alongside of you, that's where you want to go. I'll link it below. And you might want to watch one of these videos next that'll go into what we were talking about here in a lot more detail.